So if you know someone or you are someone who constantly breaks their phone, this phone, the Doogee V20 Pro, is one you need to know about, because this phone has been built for you or for them. In fact, this phone is one of the few that meets military standard 810H certification. So in order to get that military standard certification, the Doogee V20 Pro has passed vigorous testing focused on environmental conditions, and all things considered, this rugged phone looks surprisingly slick. This one here is the Moonlight Silver version, and there is a black version, and that black version looks like a phone that you might see Batman rocking. The Doogee V20 Pro is an Android smartphone with an octa-core processor embedded in a rugged shell, and it has a few superpowers. Number one is the 6,000 mAh battery, and it does come with a 33-watt power brick in the box. And the second superpower is this phone has proper night vision, not just AI that brightens everything up, actual night vision. And the third one is it has predator heat vision. So this thing can see through walls, it can see through clothes, just like Superman. Can you imagine what Clark Kent has gotten away with over the years? Anyway, let me show you the design. The corners are reinforced and rubberized. These act as shock absorbers. The bezels protrude around the edges of the display, and this will protect that display if it lands face down. And the V20 Pro is IP68 rated, which is impressive. And the USB-C charging port does have a cover, and this allows this phone, the V20 Pro, to have an official IP69K rating against close range, high pressure, high temperature and spray downs. Now, I don't know what kind of work you do for a living, but if you've ever done door-to-door sales like I used to, this phone would be perfect for that. The back of the device is an interesting one. It's a contrast of the rubberized edgings, a kind of frosted metal where you'd grip the phone, and then a different shade of frosted metal on the back. And it's got these silver dividing lines that make this look like a kind of solar panel or something. And although it doesn't need it, it does come with a case. And the case has a kind of vegan leather finish to it, and even more reinforcement on the corners. And it has a built-in kickstand, which is perfect for propping the screen up if you want to watch something or if you're on a conference call. I really like the round buttons for the volume up and volume down, and the fingerprint reader has a kind of charcoal grey finish to it with a bit of silver trim, and this is also clickable, and it is the power button. On the flip side, you'll see the TF SIM card tray, and if you have long enough fingernails, you can actually eject this without a tool. And you'll notice it's got a gasket band around the outside of this. That's to help with that waterproofing. And this SIM tray can house 2 5G SIMs or 1 SIM and an SD card up to 2 terabytes. And check out the customizable additional function button. This is awesome to see. If you're in a line of work where you might need to constantly use the thermal vision or the night vision, you can map those features to this button. You can actually map 3 different features to the button. So that's a fantastic addition that we don't see a lot of times on other devices. The glass on the front is Gorilla Glass 5, which is going to be more than strong enough for most people. Now let's talk about the display. It's a 2K 1080 by 2400 409 pixel per inch AMOLED. So you're going to get fantastic details and infinite contrast. And the screen, straight away, first impressions, to me, looks really good. And the brightness is on point too. The chipset inside is the MediaTek Dimensity 707 nanometer. And if what I just said means nothing to you at all, just know this chipset is a powerhouse. It is a mid-range chipset and is kind of more built for daily tasks. You can do some pretty heavy gaming on it, but it's not so much built for very graphically demanding games such as PUBG or Genshin Impact running on the full graphics. But if you don't care about that kind of thing, this phone is going to be more than powerful enough for you. And what makes the V20 Pro even better for daily tasks is the standard storage on this device is 256 gigabyte. The RAM is 12 gigabytes with the option to expand up to 20 by sacrificing some of the onboard storage. Now, for those of you not so familiar with RAM and what it does when it comes to phones, let me try and explain it like this. Has anyone ever told you something really interesting but kind of pointless? You remember it for a while until something more important comes up and then you kind of just forget it. That's what RAM does for a phone. And the more RAM that you have in a phone, the more random memory it can keep ready to go again if you need to fire back up an app. So this just helps with loading speeds and multitasking. And generally it improves the load times across everything the phone does. Okay, now let's talk about the cameras. The front-facing selfie camera is a Samsung sensor. It is 16 megapixels and it can do face recognition. And all of the rear cameras Doogee describes as AI cameras. There's a 64 megapixel, a 24 megapixel, and an 8. And then there's the dedicated 24 megapixel night vision camera. And of course, the sensor for thermal vision. I was a bit skeptical about how good the thermal vision would be on this device, but it's actually very impressive. So the V20 Pro from Doogee is a unique device, kind of like a builder's or construction worker's phone. So if you might need thermal vision from time to time or night vision, and you know your phone is definitely going to take a few knocks at some point, well, this phone has been built for you specifically top to bottom. And if you're the type of person who normally defaults to iPhones and just throws chunky cases on it, you're gonna love this thing, because not only does it have that night vision and thermal vision and a crazy battery, it's also got its own dynamic island.